Hey YouTube, good morning. Hope your week's going good. This week's Torah portion is Noach, which is really just the name Noah, and it is Genesis 6:9 through 11:32. As an overview, we have the description of Noah, how he was perfect in his generations. We have the flood. We have the covenant made with Noah, the rainbow, that the Father will never destroy the earth by flood again. And then we have the Tower of Babel. Man, there's just so much here. And I was going to do something safe with the names of, the lineage coming down, and then culminating, this week with Noah. And that would have been safe, but I'm going to talk about something that's maybe controversial. I've always thought, and I've said it to my wife, that it's one thing to say something to your wife and another for you to really sit and believe it. It's like, in my opinion, some people have really made idols of their King James Version Bibles. Now, don't get me wrong, I believe the King James Version is most accurate, and that's what I use. However, I don't know that it's perfect. I believe that my own opinion is that the Father dictated the Torah to Moshe, and he had it copied down. But, it's been interpreted, and I know there's, up until this day, and I know there's people that can sit and read Hebrew today, but I can bang my way through some of it. But I don't know that the King James Version is perfect. And so what I'd like to do is go into Genesis 9:3. And I'm just going to read this. The article is pretty succinct, and I don't know any way that I could just take notes and make it quicker. But wow, I thought the verse was there. So Genesis 9:3 talks about food for Noah, and I'll read it here. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. Now we know Noah knew the difference between clean and unclean animals, because he divided them up that way on the ark, and brought more per capita of the clean animals. So why all of a sudden is the Father just thrown out? It would appear that the Father's thrown out, what's clean and unclean. So this is just for your consideration. I don't have all the answers, from myself, in my opinion. But I'll go ahead and read this here. So the word, every moving thing, the word thing there is R-E-M-E-S, remes, and that's Strong's 7431. We need not overlook the fact that a specific category of animal was given permission by Elohim for Noah to eat, the remes. The NASB, the New King James Version, and the ESV translates remes as moving thing. While remes is often defined as a moving thing, we may just want to invest more analysis in this word. John H. Walton, a mainstream Christian scholar, makes some very careful observations that we need to pay close attention to. The noun remes and the associated verb rms each occur 17 times in the Old Testament, 10 times each in Genesis 1 through 9. The word group is distinct from both the wild predatory beast and domesticated flocks and herds. Neither verb nor noun is ever used to refer to larger wild animals or to domesticated animals. In no place is remes a catch-all category for all creatures. It is one category of creature only. The division of the Hebrew terms used up to this point in Genesis reflects the nature of the animal. And this is from John H. Walton's NIV application commentary, pages 341 to 334. What Walton is stating quite simply is that the word remes certainly does not and cannot literally mean all creatures, like it seems to be commonly rendered in the English. He is saying that the usage of the word in Scripture implies this group of animals has some sort of separation from other animals. This would mean that Noah could not eat all things, but only animals that were remes. But what is remes? Walton continues. These animals were typically characterized as being the prey of hunters and predatory beasts. This agrees with Yahweh's preceding statement to Noah in Genesis 9:2. The fear of you and the terror of you will be on every beast of the earth and on every bird of the sky, with everything that creeps, Ramas, on the ground. Verse 3 is then allowing Noah to go out and hunt certain food. Interestingly enough, the animals that Walton lists that would principally fall into this remes category include wild cattle, antelope, fallow deer, gazelle, and ibex. These are all animals considered clean on the specific food list of Leviticus 11 and Deuteronomy 14. The remes animals would have been clean animals, but many would have needed to be hunted or tamed in order to actually be eaten. The fear that such animals would have for humans would come as they were hunted for food and or hoarded and domesticated for food. Noah just needed approval from Elohim to go out and get them. So that solves the issue of Noah being able to eat everything, including unclean animals. When we examine how the Hebrew word remes is used, we discover that it is dominantly used for clean animals. This means that Noah was not instructed that he could eat all things, since the Hebrew word remes seems to be consistently used in the context of animals that would be defined as clean. This would not be granting permission for Noah to eat unclean animals, as unclean animals are not included in the Hebrew word of remes. Thus, verse 3 would read better as follows: Every clean moving thing that is alive shall be food for you. I give all to you as I give the green plant. Yet we still have a problem. There is now another challenging question to consider. Why is Noah suddenly allowed to eat clean animals? If the law of Elohim never changes, why does it seem to imply that he was not able to eat clean animals? If the law of Elohim never changes, he should have been able to eat clean animals before and after the flood. Why would Noah seemingly need permission again to eat clean animals after the flood, as if this is a new opportunity? Consider this. Perhaps Noah or any of the others in the ark were not permitted to eat any animals. Consider the implications if those in the ark ate barbecue chicken every night till they ran out of chicken. We simply would not have chicken today. Chicken would be extinct. Maybe it might just make perfect sense that those in the ark were instructed by Yahweh to eat as vegetarians while aboard the ark, so that Yahweh's mission of preserving animals from extinction could be possible. It clearly doesn't make any sense whatsoever for man to bring animals into the ark to save them from extinction by flood, just for those on the ark to eat them all, and instead become extinct as the result of man's appetite. After considering this, it might now just seem obvious. This would explain why Yahweh had to give permission to Noah to eat clean animals again. Yahweh had to temporarily restrict the eating of animals while on the boat so that we would still have chicken, sheep, cow, etc. today. If they ate all of the clean animals in the ark, we would have no clean animals today. Clearly, this should go without saying, but sometimes we need to step back and consider these things. Logically, this makes sense and clearly must be the case. However, do we see this scripturally revealed in the flood account? Were they told not to eat animals and only grain? Actually, yes. Genesis 6:20-21. Of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind. 2 of every sort shall come unto thee to keep them alive. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be food for thee and for them. So at least 2 things here are revealed to us, 2 very important things to consider. 1, Noah was commanded to keep the animals alive. That means they cannot eat the animals on the ark. That means that for a short time the eating of animals was revoked to accomplish a purpose because of the circumstances of the flood. Number 2, The same food that was gathered for the animals is also to be for Noah. This would likely be different grains to feed the animals, and thus was what those in the ark were also to eat. Once they exited the ark, Yahweh restored their right to eat clean animals. Genesis 9:3. Every clean moving thing that is alive shall be food for you. I give all to you as I gave the green plants. And that's his improved version. In context, this even makes sense because Noah had just sacrificed animals. And not just any animal, clean animals. Genesis 8:20. Then Noah built an altar to Yahweh and took of every clean animal and of every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. So what Genesis 9:3 is teaching us is not that Noah could eat all animals, and before the flood they were all vegetarians. Such an understanding is contrary to Leviticus 11 and the fact that the word of Elohim is the same yesterday, today, and forever. After further Hebraic analysis and scriptural context of the flood account, we find that man was simply restored to being able to eat clean animals, which was temporarily placed on hold in the ark in order to prevent the extinction of the animal species. Thus, Leviticus 11 is applicable before and after the flood, just as clean and unclean is clearly present before and after the flood. Yet, Genesis 9:3 is simply a result of Yahweh having to temporarily change the diet of those in the ark and then restoring the eating of clean meat after they exited the ark. It is certainly confusing in the English. However, through the study of even mainstream Christian scholars, we find that their analysis even does not leave room for Noah being permitted to eat all things. We wanted to show the interpretation by a mainstream Christian scholar on Genesis 9:3 just to demonstrate that we, attempting to not be biased or serve our own theology through interpretation, if mainstream Christianity can teach and believe that Noah could not eat clean animals, then it should be of no concern that we arrive to the same conclusions. And just to offer another example, not that we even come close to agreeing with John Calvin on most of his theology, but just to demonstrate that we are not being biased in our own interpretation of Genesis 9, chapter 9, verse 3, we find that John Calvin came to the same perspective. Even John Calvin does not believe Noah could eat all things or was a vegetarian before the flood. Consider this comment, and this is Calvin. Calvin argued, God here does not bestow on men more than he had previously given, but only restored what had been taken away, that they might again enter on the possession of those good things from which they had been excluded. Thus, those that are forcing Genesis 9:3 to say that Noah could eat all things most certainly cannot say that with 100% confidence. Even mainstream Christian scholars would disagree with such a statement, and actually so would we. So, the King James Version Bible is the best, but don't make it an idol. Our idol is Elohim. He's our God. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.